corner, dark brown coat, black and white striped legs below. They communicate to their young using an infrasonic frequency, something that's way beyond our own range of hearing. Male okapi will have ossicones atop their head, which are the same fuzzy pom-pom-like features that giraffe have atop their head too. I don't see any pom-poms over there though, that looks to be one of the females. A little bit further ahead, we'll try and find any of the other animals hiding in between. They're all masters of camouflage around this area. I do see some saddle-billed stork high atop the upcoming hill. They're one of the larger birds we're going to see along the way. They grow to be 6 feet tall, their wingspan about 9 feet wide, and when they mate, it's for life. So the other half of the happy couple is never too far away. You can see the other one right there next to them. To your left are going to be a couple of black rhinoceroses as well. Now the first one is here in this first yard, a little bit further back. You can see the sunlight gleaming off their back there. There's another one up here in the second yard too, a little bit closer. Fully grown, they can weigh about 3,000 pounds. They can run up to about 35 miles per hour too. Unfortunately, they are poached for their horns, leaving less than 5,000 of them in the world. Some cultures believe the horn to have a medicinal value, but it's made of keratin, which is the same thing that your fingernails and hair are made of, just a lot more of it there at the tip of the nose. You'll find greater kudu and bongo live here too. Greater kudu are the ones with a lighter shade of brown, it's almost grayer in the right light, while the bongo have more of the oranger color here. They're close relatives of one another. They'll share a couple of characteristics like the thin white stripes that go down their back. Those used to help assist with the camouflage. Though of course with a different coloration, they'll blend into different parts of the environment. Now the bongo will have horns, whether it be male or female, and you saw those horns had a sleek design. They're curved, slicked back. That allows them to run through the trees, not get tangled on any of the plant life. Greater kudu, they'll only have the horns atop the male's head. So you saw a couple of the females back that way. But we're going to leave the forest behind so that we can make our way down towards the Safi River, an area that's home to animals a little bit more aquatic in nature. You may be able to name a few. The Nile Hippopotamus is one to move through here pretty frequently. Nile hippos will usually spend their time beneath the water, but we're going to find one up on the riverbank just up ahead. Looks like one is in the water just before them, though. See, they usually stay in the water until about the cover of nightfall. It usually keeps them cool throughout the day, but it's not too hot out this morning. Looks like they're taking advantage of that. You should be able to see some on your left-hand side, too. Hippo in either direction, really. And a group of them together is known as a bloat. It's not a flattering name, but that is what it's called. So you can see several members of that bloat here. Their skin secretes a very convenient liquid. It's red in color, acts as a coolant as well as a natural bug repellent, so even if it does get a bit warmer later, they don't have to worry about it too much. You got pink-backed pelicans off here to your left on this island, known for the pink coloration that's on their back during mating season, which tends to be a little bit later. You're not going to see a lot of that pink coloration now. But their wingspan can reach about the same width as the canopy above your head, stretching from the left to the right-hand side. And in the wild, they nest in groups of up to 500 in size, so they are quite social. Looks like another hippo rested down below. Take a look just past this guardrail here. Just make sure we keep those seats for me, everyone. And Nile Crocodiles is across the upcoming bridge. They're all just down below. Nile crocodiles can reach about 16 feet in length. That's almost as long as a giraffe is tall. Their diet consists primarily of fish, but they've been known to eat larger prey like wildebeest and zebra on occasion. Just about anything that'll dare get close enough to their powerful jaws. That of which we want to keep our distance from up here as much as possible, that's for certain. We'll leave them in the rearview mirror. But the more we do so, the closer we are going to be to the savannah. A wide open area where animals will travel to and fro across the very path that we'll be taking. And that means that it's possible to have up close and personal encounters for ourselves. But we'll find out in just a few short moments. As we're going to be at the very top of the savannah here. Take a look through the plant life. You can see Hartman's mountain zebra already waiting for us down there. There's probably some Ankoli cattle. They live around this territory too. Springbok and Patterson's eland. Of course, Giraffe will call this home. I promise we are going to talk about each and every animal we can spot out here, but we do have a lot of ground to cover. Plenty of animals to discuss, so all good things in all due time. We don't want to miss anything as we journey through. Let's try and do this by proximity, so we'll see who's closest. We'll start with them, but at the moment, it looks like Wildebeest still fit the bill. Coming up here to our right. The Wildebeest Wildebeest are part of one of the largest migrating groups of animals in the world. They travel in size of up to 1,000 members during the Great Migration. What looks to be stripes down their coat are sweat lines. They deal with the heat the same way we do. It's what keeps them nice and cool. They're also known as gnu, but that's for the noise they make. That's G-N-U with a silent G. Special scent glands also allow them to smell areas that could have water from incredible distances away. So on the savannah, if you're ever searching for H2O, just follow the wildebeest and they'll probably lead you right to it. To your left is the home of African painted dogs, the most successful hunters in all of Africa. Now we gotta push forward just a little bit more. It seems there's a couple resting over here towards the den, the little cave area. See at least one just outside it. Painted dogs have a 90% catch rate. That's more successful than lions, all due to their impressive teamwork, as they have both an alpha male and an alpha female to guide their pack to victory. A couple more just down beyond the side, down two. Let's move up here, though. The animals are going to be a little bit more visible for us, like one of several giraffes, some sable antelope, and the springbok as well. The sable antelope are tucked into that corner with the dark brown coats. They're the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Very territorial, very protective of one another. You'll see their image quite a bit traveling from our village here today. The Hartmann's mountain zebra, a group of them together is known as a dazzle, but given their beautiful coat, that certainly makes sense. It's more than just for looks, though. It's a defense mechanism, because when zebra are in larger numbers, that pattern of stripes all together can be really confusing for predators to pick out one from the rest, so safety in numbers. The springbok, quite small in size, are actually very athletic. They truly can spring 6 feet into the air, 13 feet in distance. When they do it happily across the savannah, that's referred to as pronking. And they're also the national animal of South Africa. It's pretty common to see them as the mascot for a lot of sports teams. Now, no, I didn't forget about giraffe, but there are several that call this area home. They're very curious creatures. They make their way to just about every corner the savannah has to offer, so I hope to be able to find a couple more. The reason they're so curious is because they're also incredibly hungry. They're always searching for more food. Now, they search all throughout the day, but that itself is an understatement. 23.5 hours, that's the average. They only sleep for about half an hour, and that's not even done all at once. It's in tiny power naps that only last about 2 to 3 minutes at a time. And when they do sleep, it's usually while standing up. It's how they do most things. They eat, they give birth, they sleep, all of that is while standing up. They lie down occasionally, and that's only when they feel completely and 100% safe. Otherwise, not so much. A couple more springbok there to your right-hand side. They usually stay together as a group for the most part, but they may stray off to find little bits of food for themselves. Here's the rest of the dazzle. As for the age-old black with white stripes, white with black stripes debate, simple. Just look at the snout. That's all you have to do. That does vary from zebra to zebra. Here's the rest of the giraffe. They made their way out this way. Giraffe may be famously known for their very long necks, but they have the same amount of bones in their neck that we've got in ours. 7. The bones are longer than ours are, but you could probably guess that part. And the hair in their tail, 10 times thicker than that of our own, which helps to swat away bugs and anything that might be bothering them from behind. Feels a lot like fishing line, actually. It has that same consistency to it. Now, their tongues have a pretty neat color, too. Black and blue, which helps to prevent sunburn. Their tongues are out a lot while they're eating. You can imagine sunburn on your tongue isn't exactly a pleasant feeling. So thankfully, that black and blue color will prevent that. And they search for 23.5 hours, so it comes in handy for at least 10 to 12 of those. See them again just out there to your right. Still have a little bit more of this back corner of the savannah to explore, though. And if we do, it's possible for us to find elephants, so I'd certainly like to try. Usually around their home, you'll find that a lot of trees have been knocked down. Elephants love the taste of tree roots, so that's pretty common. They'll knock one over for something to snack on. They'll even do so to get to the vegetation that's just out of reach of their trunk. They bring it a bit closer to the ground. I'd call that problem solving at its finest. And they're also quite friendly. They're usually found in larger groups as they're quite social. So the rest of the herd can't be too far off. They're probably hanging out down towards the watering hole, or at least I would hope. We're certainly going to go check. It's a pretty popular spot, as it's a good source of hydration and a simple way to cool off in the heat. So animals of all kinds will make their way there for one reason or another, whatever it may be. Take a look again, just off there to your right. May have to look over your shoulder just a bit. In the wild, you can spot an elephant by its lonesome occasionally. That just means that it's a bull elephant, or a male elephant who has come of age. About 14 years of age or so tends to be a cutoff point. When they reach that age, they separate from the herd, live in solitude, but not for very long. They give in to their social nature shortly afterward and start to form their own herds in little groups after that. Up here along either sides of the path have trace amounts of red clay within them, which elephants love the taste of. They like to dig their tusks into this up and down for a great snack that's high in nutrients, a good source of vitamins. And the markings here are older, no doubt, but the open fields coming up here to our left, that's where they still like to roam. I see a couple of them out there in the second part of the yard, so hold tight. I'm going to get you a little bit closer to them. Now, contrary to the popular belief that elephants are afraid of mice or rats like they are in the cartoons, it's not really true, but they are terribly scared of bees. Very scared of bees. I can't even say I blame them for it, really. But it does end up working in their favor. Farmers have learned to line their crops and their farmlands with beehives all around the perimeter. And this deters elephants from coming close to the vegetation, which in turn prevents a lot of human to elephant conflict from occurring. It means that the elephants end up safe from harm, of which they wouldn't be otherwise, while the farmers get a new source of revenue from the honey that the beehives produce. Well, yeah, that's actually quite common. Elephants will take mud and dust and dirt, whatever they find lying around on the ground, really, and toss it up onto their sides and back as a primitive form of sunscreen. It's dirtier than our methods, but it still gets the job done. Coming up here to our right, a Patterson Teal has found some food pretty close to the path. This is going to be the male. They usually have a darker gray coat, the horns being thicker, more corkscrew in shape. Females usually have a lighter brown coat, their horns being thinner and straighter in design. Males will often take those corkscrew-shaped horns and twist them into grass, flowers, and plant life around until they have a flower crown of sorts atop their head, which is used to attract mates. Other Patterson's eland tend to like the accessory. Greater flamingo are up here next, just along your left. The greater in their name just stands for the sheer size of them. They're the largest species of their kind. There's a lesser flamingo too. They're just a little bit smaller. In fact, you might have passed them on your way here. They like to hang out on Discovery Island just before the Tree of Life, so try to check them out a bit later on if you haven't done so yet. But the pink color they're so well known for is from their diet of brine shrimp. They eat a ton of it. That contains beta-carotene. It's what gives a flamingo that pink hue. It takes about a year or so for that to kick in, though, so you can see some here with whiter or grayer feathers. But if you look close, you'll see tiny hints of that pink coloration, mostly in the legs and the tail feathers, as they're getting to be just about a year or so old now.
Yeah, it's like the pink and water ones.
We're still in the savanna back in this corner too, but the plant life grows a little bit closer to the sides of the path over here, and animals love hiding all throughout, traveling in between. So we'll keep a special eye out. You can see who made their way through earlier though. Off to your left, the little pit in the mud. That's actually a sign that white rhinoceros have been through. They use that as a primitive form of sunscreen as well, just like the elephants. It does mean they tend to be less of a white color, more of an orchard tint, and a lighter brown in most cases. Just kind of depends on the mud they find. We'll have to keep an eye out for them later. I do see glimpses of cheetah for now, though. You have to look close off to your left, way in the back, that movement just back in the shade, high atop that hill. See the back there? Kind of got to shield your eyes from the sun just a little bit. Tell you what, if we move forward just a little bit more, might be able to get that sun just a little bit more out of your eyes to see them. 0 to 60, 3 seconds flat, top speed of 70 miles per hour. Cheetah are quick, no secret there. But they're not distance runners, they're sprinters, as they can't hold that speed for very long. After a short period of time, they've got to take a break like everybody else. And take a look in the second yard. They're a little bit closer just up here, and on the move too.
There you go, 0 to 60, that's 60, guys.
They can use their tail as a counterbalance of sorts, so if they're chasing after prey and they find that they need to switch direction in the middle of a chase, they flick their tail around the other way, like the rudder on a boat. It allows them to continue the hunt without skipping a beat.
We're gonna jump.
Next up, Kopi Rock Formation. That's where larger predators like lions hang out. And if you take a look at the second highest rock, oh, shh, listen. Sounds like just the little roars for now. During the daytime, lions have about the same sense of vision and hearing that we do, but at night it's 6 times that of our own. They're excellent nocturnal hunters, so it makes sense that they sleep their whole day away. And when I say that, I'm talking about roughly 20 hours or so. They're really only active for about 4 after nightfall. But the females, the lioness, they're the true apex predators. They'll go out and hunt. The male lion will stay behind, watch over the territory, and protect the cubs from outside danger. There's scimitar horned oryx and Bontabak hiding there to your right. The Bontabak is the one lying down. The oryx just a bit further back in the tree line. Bontabak have an interesting story, although it is quite sad. Due to poaching and hunting for their coats, at one point in time there were only 17 of them left in the world, a frightening thought as they were almost poached to extinction. One farmer took notice of their diminishing numbers, started protecting them on his land, keeping them safe from harm, and eventually reserves like this one have been able to help as well. And the oryx, well, they can go roughly about 9 whole months without drinking any water. Well, their natural habitat is the desert, so they're pretty well equipped to handle it. The lioness are visible for you too, if you look here to your left, just up by the cliff's edge. Here's one of them. There's another lioness hanging out around here too. Making 3 in total. Oh, and the longer the mane, the older the lion, it'll grow with age. And the Swahili word for lion is Simba, so technically speaking, you can point at any lion and say Simba, you won't ever be wrong about it, so long as you're speaking Swahili. Though you really know that you're saying is lion, but, well, you're not wrong. That is lion, that much is true. Now, contrary to what I just said, this next animal is not, I repeat, not Pupa, because that's the Swahili word for foolish. Warthogs are pretty smart, so we want to give credit where credit is due. Take a look at the burrows just down here below. Warthogs will make these and then back into them so that their tusks are pointed outward. It stops predators from following them in. It's a great way to ensure they can sleep peacefully through the night and not have to worry about any surprises in that time. Thankfully, their tusks are their own security to help guard the door. And the white rhinoceros are all nestled just a little bit further back by the tree line there. See them all together? They're a more social species of rhino. They're usually found in larger groups like that. And their groups are referred to as a crash. So you do have a small crash around just a bit further out. I swear I couldn't make that up if I tried. And that just about covers it for the savannah, but we still have one last destination to make our way through. It would be Magadi Glen, just a little bit further ahead. I'm trying to get it renamed Magoti Glen, because you're going to find Nigerian dwarf goats living here. Along your left, just in between the fenced-in areas. They're quite small, but they're fully grown. This is as large as they get. They're a heavily domesticated animal, not just to be as pets, but also for the milk that they produce, which is high in nutrients. That means you rely less on wildlife and more on the animals that just live right here in the land. You might see them headbutt one another from time to time. That's part of the group dynamic. It's how they assert dominance and helps them to mature physically too. Looks like they're all searching for food right about now. Maybe getting a late breakfast. And they, like other goats, like to climb on various structures. That's why you saw all those ramps along the building in the middle. They'll make their way to higher ground. And with that, our safari will be coming to a bit of a close here pretty soon. But there's still a lot more to see, do, and explore before the day is through. So get out there and make your way into all corners of the animal kingdom. You never know what you may find. If you want to help any of the animals you see, there's a couple of ways of doing that too. You can always donate to the Disney Conservation Fund. That can be done within any of the gift shops located around the park. Anything and everything you donate goes to making sure the animals not only survive, but thrive here in the reserve and out in the wild too. And they'll always give you a commemorative pin to remember it by, so even for a penny, you can take home a cool souvenir. While at home, you can recycle your old electronics. Things like phones, tablets, computers, outdated ones that you might not be using anymore after you've upgraded to a newer version. They often contain a mineral called coltan, which is usually found by mining in and destroying the habitats of animals such as elephants and okapi. So, recycle that old technology, and that mineral can be reused. We'll prevent some of that destruction. We're going to be parting ways here, friends, so I do want to say a